Welcome to Talking with Natasha. I'm here with Laura Lynne Jackson. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me here.
You're our third author on our podcast. You just wrote Guided.
Yeah.
Fantastic book. I got
you.
chills reading so many parts of it too. For people meeting you for the first time, how did you discover your psychic abilities?
Yeah, so I think that when I was a child, I didn't understand that what I was experiencing was any different than anyone else. I would see people in colors, and I would have a sense of, okay, if somebody had a kind of red aura energy around them that day, I should stay away from them. They were not in the best of moods. And if they had blue, I knew, oh, they're very open. I can go be around them. But I just thought everybody experienced that. I would feel what other people were feeling, and I thought, oh, that's just the way the world works. But when I was 11 years old, I remember it was a hot August summer day. I was swimming in my swimming pool with my brother and sister, and my mother called out to us to tell us that she was going to go visit my grandparents for the day, and they lived about an hour away. And I was seized by this absolute knowing, just the sense of panic and knowing that I had to go be there with my grandfather that day. So I called out, I'm like, you have to wait for me. And she's like, Laura, really? It's, 2 weeks till school starts. You're in the swimming pool. Relax. I was like, no, I need to come. And so she waited for me. My siblings stayed in the pool. And, I did not feel a sense of calm until I got to their house and was with my grandfather. And we spent the most magical day together. It was just the two of us. We're laughing, telling stories. It was just magical. And he was such a big part of my childhood. And he was such a force of love in my life. And when it was time to leave, I hugged him goodbye. I told him I loved him. And that was the last time I ever saw him alive. He went to the doctors 2 days later and got diagnosed with leukemia in an advanced stage, was sent immediately to the hospital. And back then, if you were younger than 16, you couldn't go visit an adult in the hospital. So none of my siblings or I got to see him, and he crossed within 2 weeks. And I had this sense of knowing that that feeling I had had when I was in the swimming pool of knowing I needed to be there was because I knew he was going to cross. So then I felt really conflicted and confused because you're not supposed to know when people you love so profoundly are going to die. And I pretty quickly confessed to my mother and told her, the reason I had to come is because I called him Pop-Pop. I knew Pop-Pop was going to die. What's wrong with me? I said, I feel cursed or like dark or, I felt kind of like broken over it. And she said to me, Laura, nothing's wrong with you. Every part of you is beautiful. She said, this is just an extra ability you had to understand that his soul was going to go on a journey. It's because you love him so much. And she's like, don't be afraid of it. And then she told me that it had run on her side of the family for generations.
I was about to say, yeah, she seemed very accepting and to say that you have this ability. So
yeah,
she had it too.
She had it too. My aunt had it. My grandmother had it. But it would always come out. And I think when you first open your abilities, like you find things that are the loudest to pick up on. So when she was raised, though, when my aunt was about 11 years old, the phone rang and my aunt said to my grandmother, oh, it's relatives from Germany calling to tell you that your brother died. And she got slapped across the face. And they didn't really know their relatives in Germany because my grandmother was like the youngest of 10 kids, right? Picked up the phone and it was relatives in Germany calling to say that my grandmother's brother died. And I said to my mom, how did it get handled? She said, oh, we never talk about it again. It was something you had to accept about yourself, but like you kept in the dark, you didn't talk about. So in that moment in the kitchen that day, what my mother really did was give me permission to not be afraid of it and to see it as something about love. And it's why I'm doing what I do in the world today.
Does everyone have a psychic ability?
Every single one of us has psychic abilities. We all have a psychic toolbox we come here with. We're just taught to distance ourselves from it, and that distancing usually happens between ages 5 to 7. It's when we start formal schooling because we actually retrain our brain waves. I work a lot with scientists, so they do EEGs of my brain and they mind map me. And what they found is that when I'm in normal talking mode, my brain looks mostly normal. 98% of my brainwave activity will take place in my frontal lobe, which is from here to here. It's the part of your brain that meditation teachers call the monkey mind because it chatters all the time. It's in charge of analytical thinking, critical thinking, math skills, language skills. And most of us spend our entire day is stuck there. And the only time it goes offline and we go back into our spiritual selves and our spiritual parts of our brain is when we sleep.
You talk about that in your book, Guided, the power of dreaming.
Yes.
So how do you connect to some of that guidance and that and stay connected?
Yeah, so here's the thing. We don't have to just connect in the dream state. That's what we're doing because, we came here reading energy, reading unseen energy, like reading this language of love between us and our caregivers. Then we acquire language, then we go to school and we distance ourselves from it. We're taught just to stay in the materialistic paradigm of belief, whereas you can't touch it, it doesn't exist, right? But we don't have to just wait till we're dreaming to reaccess it. I think people have had the most amazing experience when they do dream because it defaults to that again. For example, anybody who has had a dream visitation, they've dreamt of somebody they love who's crossed and the experience feels 3D and so beautiful. That is us connecting with the other side. A lot of people will say, I don't know the answer. I'm really confused about this decision. I'm going to sleep on it. And then they wake up with clarity. They have no idea how they got it. How do we access that part of ourselves in the waking hours? Well, it's actually really simple. All you need to do is set the intention that you want to. That's what you do.
You say that. So how exactly do you do that? Before you go to sleep, do you say it out loud? Do you hold it in your heart? How do you do that?
So there are all different ways you can do it. The first thing you need to be aware of is that each and every one of us has what I call a team of light on the other side. And that's made up of 3 parts. It's God energy, which I see as just this force of love that's inherent in all of us and guides us daily on our highest path. The currency there is just love, forgiveness, empathy, kindness. Then we also have our own personalized, what I call spirit guides. Throughout time and history have been referred to as guardian angels, a concept of this angelic realm. Our angelic teachers and mentors on the other side that when we come here to Earth School, we contract with, and they've been guiding us since our soul entered this physical body. And then the third part of our team of light is anybody we love who's crossed, pets included. And they guide us as well in really beautiful ways. So the first step is being aware that you have that team.
Yeah.
You don't even have to really understand it, just be open to the concept. The second thing you do is you set the intention with your team of light saying, okay, I am ready and I'm so excited to open up my mind and heart to your guidance, to showing me, to speaking this language to me of using our psychic and intuitive abilities to get me to understand things about things I should say yes to on my path, maybe things I should avoid. The guidance is there. They've been waiting. And if you have somebody you loved who's crossed, they've been sending you signs and trying to get your attention since the moment they crossed to let you know that they are still present in your life.
Well, so that's what guided is all about, these signs that you're sent. What are the top 3 signs that the universe sends you?
Yeah, so I think to get our attention, there are things that I call default signs. The first thing is messing with electrical devices, right? Because we're here in this kind of materialistic paradigm, but it's easy for our team of light, the universe, to manipulate electrical things. So anything from flickering the lights to maybe things going wonky and not quite working right with computers, etc. Pay attention when you text people. If words in the text box change, they can have special meaning there. I think they sometimes put coins in our path, like pennies, dimes, and nickels. Why? Because I think when we leave our physical bodies and we are light energy again, it's easy to manipulate small metallic objects.
Yeah.
I'm always saying, like, if you sense somebody around you or you feel you're being guided by your team of light and you find a coin, pick it up and look at the date, because sometimes there's a whole nother meaning in there. And then the thing that they really love to do too is they send us creatures that navigate our world using electromagnetic fields. So birds, butterflies, deer, dragonflies, ladybugs, you name it. They'll also love to send feathers. They'll love to have their names appear places or put things in license plates or in your social media feed. It's really magical once you open to it. You start recognizing the signs and messages that have been there all along, all the time, that you've maybe missed because you weren't paying attention.
And we're kind of in a very distracted material world.
Yeah.
It's easy to get distracted.
Yes.
And miss those signs.
It's so easy. There's a cacophony of noise and energy rushing at us at all times. Plus, we're stuck in this frontal lobe, right? So it takes a moment for us to maybe breathe in really deeply through our nose and out through our mouths and close our eyes just for a moment and say to our team of light, okay, please guide me. I always tell people too, because the number one question I get from people is, how do I know if it's a sign? And here's what I say. If you have that moment where your part of your brain has been able to jailbreak the frontal lobe, where you have this moment where you're like, I think that was a sign. It is a sign. Just having that moment where you're like, I think that is one. they've gotten your attention. Trust the signs. You don't need anybody to validate it. But I get a lot of people who will get a sign that they ask for, right? And it's important to ask for something specific because the other side will send signs to us, but we can ask for really specific ones. And I'm always like, make it really different. So don't just ask for an elephant, ask for a purple elephant, right? I used to ask for monarch butterflies for my team of light, and I decided that's too easy. So now I ask for aardvarks, armadillos, and anteaters.
Yeah.
And I'll get them in the most profound ways, right? So I think it's about paying attention.
You might get it in a painting. You might not get the actual.
That's exactly right. Or somebody
artwork.
might say it out loud.
Yeah.
It will come in really creative ways some of the time.
And it's all, okay, so I could say something like, my team of light, I want to see a peacock.
100% yes. Now get ready because you just set that now.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
beautiful.
Ready to see it.
Yes.
I told people that I'm sitting down with you, and I said I'm sitting down with Laura Lynne Jackson, psychic medium. And some people said, do you really believe in that stuff? There are skeptics out there. What do you say to the skeptics?
Oh, I get it 100%. First of all, I'm not really woo-woo. I know that sounds crazy doing what I do, but I'm a huge skeptic myself when it came to even embracing my abilities. I was raised by two teachers, and they taught me to be a critical thinker. And what a critical thinker does is go on a journey seeking answers, really examining information. And it took me a really long time to fully embrace my abilities and really own them and use them in a beautiful way to help others. But I'm the first to say, if I didn't have the direct experiences I have, I don't know that I'd believe in them. And I think that's a really healthy way to live. So what I always say to people is, my second book, Signs and Certainly Guided, it talks a lot about how you, the reader, can test this out for yourself, how you can try it on. Because I spent 20 years as a high school English teacher before I wrote these books. And one of the things I would do is I'd model things for my students, but I always knew that they needed to take that concept on themselves and own it and experience it. So I think people need to ask for signs. They need to just kind of open their mind a little and say, I'm willing to experience this. Let's see what happens. I'm going to ask for this specific sign, and I'm going to see if I get it. Because guess what? You will get it. And then when you say this to your team of light, well, I think that was a sign, and I kind of am really struggling with this, so send me another sign so that I know that was a sign. And you get the second one, now you really start to have to own it.
Yeah.
So when we have direct experiences, we have to own it as a truth. And that's what a critical thinker does, is you go on a journey, you find your truth, and you own it. And that's why I invite everybody listening to this to do. Because if they were guided to happen to listen to this podcast right now, that was no accident. That's their team of light saying, hey, we'd like to guide you even more. Will you be open to this?
I think I found our promo tease, our next promo tease out there. In your book, you talk about getting a download from the universe, and all of a sudden you just get like, well, walk me through it. What is a download? You get like a rush of images and colors and words. Do you hear a voice?
So I think that it can take place in myriad ways. And I actually think that all of us, whether we realize we're psychic and intuitive or not, we're all in a state of connection with the other side. And we're all getting downloads all the time. We just don't necessarily recognize it as that. What's really fascinating to me too is you will hear that word download said by people in all walks of life, from CEOs to athletes to artists to, yes, psychic mediums, talk about getting a download. So what does that mean? It means in an instant, you have information that kind of doesn't really take place in space-time. Right here on Earth, we're in linear time. It's like a canvas. A download is a sudden, it's almost like when you used to put in like the USB and it goes, blip. It's like that, boom, we just know something. And it's oftentimes something that's going to guide us on our path in a beautiful and inspiring way. It's about being in that state of connection. It can be a knowing, which is called actually claircognizant. It's when you suddenly know something and there's just no way you could logically know it. It could be a feeling that's clairsentient. Like we read energy from our solar plexus area around our belly button. So it's like we'll get a feeling. It's why people say, oh, I just have such a strong gut feeling on that. We're not even recognizing the language we're using, but we're identifying what we're experiencing. A download could also be a vision. Like I have an inner screen at all times. It's often referred to as the mind's eye or, having your third eye open, right? We all have it. A lot of us only access it in the sleeping state when let's talk about that. Our physical eyes are closed, but we're vividly seeing.
Right.
But we can access it in the waking state too. So you might have a flash image, or you might hear something clairaudiently, which means clear hearing. And it's when you hear a thought come to you, not from you, because we all have our own subtext narrative that's going on in our minds all the time, but this will arrive to you.
Do you hear voices, or
Sometimes it can be in a voice of somebody, like let's say you have a loved one who's crossed, you might hear their voice telling you something. Or sometimes if it will come in the voice of, let's say, God energy or your guides, it will just come as a thought that arrives to you. It's just kind of this inner thought, but it doesn't come from you, and you can feel that.
Have you ever felt someone hear your name?
Yes.
What does that mean?
I think it's them getting your attention. It's just, I think what our teams of light want us to know is that we are never alone here. We are never in a state of isolation. We are all interconnected. We are all so connected to this force of love on the other side that is guiding us, rooting for us, trying to get us on our highest path every single day. So I think they try to get our attention at all times. So if you hear your name like that, say, oh, thank you, I hear you. I'm ready to be guided by you, because that was so beautiful that you had that moment of being open to hear your name.
Throughout the book, when I was reading it, one thought kept coming, which is if the universe has a plan for you, how much free will do you have?
Such a great question, right? What my guides have taught me is that free will trumps everything here. It's the most important thing we have. And I think that there are certain points on our spiritual journey here, maybe people we're supposed to meet, or opportunities that are supposed to come our way, or challenges we're meant to face. But what's not scripted is how we embrace those things. And what's not scripted is the choices we make based on how we're embracing those things. So I think it's really important to be reflective of what your inner narrative is, because a lot of times that little monkey mind that chatters can be really mean and really negative, usually to yourself even more than others. So if you catch yourself being negative about maybe an opportunity that's come up, or maybe there's something on your path that you want to do, but you're afraid, right? Talk over it in your thoughts. Say, actually, I'm so excited to be guided by my team of light. I'm so excited to embrace this opportunity. I think that's important. Do you need to say it out loud? You don't have to. You can if you want. You can talk to your team of light out loud if you'd like, or you could say it in your thoughts. It will always be heard and received by the other side.
Just like any ability, you have to train it, strengthen it, keep up with it. How do you keep up with your ability and sharpen it?
Another beautiful question. And I think this is really applicable for everybody who's listening, who maybe thinks, maybe I'll try this. Practice, practice, practice. And what that practice looks like is staying in a state of openness. And if you're catching yourself getting too caught up in like the energy of the here and now and getting in a state of fear or anxiety, those are not spiritual things. Any downloads we also get of guidance will never come with fear or anxiety. It will come neutrally, and then we might react, right? So it's learning to differentiate what it feels like to be in that spiritual flow of light and guidance versus our own anxiety and fear that we're bringing to the table. And it's about just trusting in that connection. I think the way to practice too, because we are in this materialistic paradigm of a world, is to ask for tangible proof. And that's why we ask for signs. And we want to be shown things, and we will get that. And I think that's an important step for us to continue to stay open and practice and engage in it.
For someone who just lost a loved one or a friend or even a pet, and they want to reach out to the other side, what's the first thing that they should do?
Well, I will tell you, nobody needs a psychic medium. You never need to go to someone else to facilitate that connection. That connection is there. And anybody who's crossed wants to talk to you. They don't really want to talk to a psychic medium. They will if you go to one because they love you so much, they'll come through that person, but you never need that. So it's just saying in your thoughts or out loud if you want, I'm feeling so sad about the physical loss of you. And that is profound, that physical loss, right? But I know that you're still here with me. I know that death is not a dead end, it's a doorway. And I know the love that we have is not only as strong as it was, but can get even stronger. So I would like to create this new language of connection with you. I need you to show me that you're still part of my life. I need you to send me this sign, whatever that is you want, and I need you to send me your name, and I need you to guide me because I really need your love and support right now. And that will happen. It is, again, opening to that relationship, opening to that connection, and then trusting it and celebrating when we get those moments of connection.
Or seeing those signs.
Seeing the signs, right? And not just seeing them, but then telling someone about them or writing about it, putting it up on our social media. Why is that important? Because it's ownership of it. And then we're also celebrating the person we love who has given that to us.
Yeah. How often are you doing readings?
I do between 3 and 5 readings every single week. I never stop.
Wow.
And I have to do that, or if I don't, I can't sleep. I get insomnia, like my energy gets spinny.
You feel like you get like clogged up in a way?
Not clogged up, more like just like racing energy. It's almost like a tea kettle that's about to whistle that I have to read to like bring that like energy down. But if I do too many readings, if I go past 5, I get really physically ill.
Oh, so you get
there's like this yeah, it takes a real toll on my health. I'll end up, my immune system tanks and I'll get sick. And then I had to learn that the hard way, right? Because I always want to read for everybody.
Yeah.
But, there's physical limitations. I think it's because it's such maybe like a high energy to hold, or I don't know what the full reasons are, but I will tell you that I'm also a research medium with an organization called Wimbridge that's scientifically based, and there's 19 of us as mediums there, and I'm one of the very few who has not had autoimmune issues or cancer, because a lot of times when you open to this and read constantly, it just really strips you energetically.
Interesting. It really affects your immune system.
It does. It really does if you overdo it. Yeah. Now, people who are going to practice this and go try it, they don't need to worry. But if you're going to be a professional psychic medium or read constantly, you need to understand your own physical limitations.
And when you do your readings, how do you ground yourself to then read that person, or does it just start flowing into you?
I used to need to, like decades ago, I would not eat before it. I would like do this really long meditation before it. Now it's kind of like, my favorite way to read is over the phone at home, because I just close my eyes. I go in my bedroom, I turn the lights pretty much out, and I just close my eyes and watch this inner screen. And I say it's like jumping into a loft bed. It just takes me a second to jump in and click, and then everything opens up for me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And people on the other side of the phone, whoever you're talking to or you're doing the reading to, are they so shocked by the things that you say and see?
Yeah, I think if it's their first time having an experience like this too, so it's so really beautiful. And I think every reading I do has been guided by the other side, and it's really always sacred to me. And I feel like I'm in that person's family. It gets very, very intimate, because there's so much beautiful love that will come, and I'll feel it go through me to the person. And a lot of times, like, it will almost feel like minutia, what people on the other side are talking about. Like, oh, I love the new carpet you got yesterday. And they'll talk about a conversation the person had at dinner the night before with their friend, just because they want us to know they're with us and watching us. And then they'll also talk about things coming up on the person's path to help guide them, to help them be open to embracing opportunities in a brave and beautiful way. So yeah, I think sometimes people are really surprised, shocked in a good way, but my whole point is, like, you never need me again, because a reading should just be a doorway into a greater conversation or relationship you have with your loved ones, and you never needed me anyway. Yeah. And I think that's the part that's the most beautiful, because people will message me after and they'll say, what did you do? I have been getting the most amazing signs, dreams, synchronicities, like my whole world has opened up. It's just incredible. And I say to them, I didn't do a thing. You did it. You did it by creating space in your life to open up, and then we create this 3-way triangle where I plug into your energy, you plug into mine, we both plug into the other side. And when I get off from the reading, you stay connected and open. Nobody needs me to do that. You just need to say, like, okay, I'm ready and connected.
Just set the intention and kind of open yourself up to it.
Thought, energy, intention is more important than we can even imagine.
Yeah. I do get a lot of gut feelings, and then after the fact, I'll be like, I have a gut feeling about this, and when it happens, like, I knew I should have trusted my instinct. How much of it is, like, how do you know if it's anxiety versus an intuition?
Yeah, this is a really clear answer, and my guides showed me this and taught me this. If you're having anxiety and thinking about something and it's racing, or you have fear around it, that's coming from you. That's coming from your physical brain and your monkey mind and all that. If you get an information that comes to you and then you react, that's spiritual guidance. And I'll give you an example from my own life. I remember when my son, who's now 19, was 9 years old, and he was about to have like field day, like sports day at his school the next day. I was sitting at my kitchen table and I had this thought arrive to me, and it was like this. It said, "Isn't it so great that none of your children have ever broken a bone?" And I thought like, oh, hey, that is great. And I was like, wait a minute, because I know what's going on here. And I told my husband, I was like, this just happened. The next day, field day, nothing aggressive happening, right? My son goes to do like a little basketball thing over one of those blow-up things, trips, falls on his elbow and breaks it.
Oh my God.
But here's the thing. I know that there is interconnection in ways that I can't understand. And I know like, okay, that was meant to happen. But wasn't it so beautiful of my team of light to phrase it in a way that was full of gratitude? So I wouldn't feel like, oh no, look what happened. It was more like, oh, isn't it so beautiful that hasn't happened? And now that this is going to, we'll deal with it and he'll heal and it'll be fine.
I would have read that as sarcastic.
No. No, the other side is never sarcastic. They're just like there to love and support. But I think in our day-to-day earthly, like materialistic, I could see like why you'd take it that way, because we're so jaded here and we're so used to that and having to manage all that kind of energy.
That is so interesting. Yeah. So you just kind of get these thoughts that come to you.
So trust when you get it in a neutral way, because there's no information that will ever be given to scare you. It's more to prepare you or help you know, like, everything is there in perfect order and you're supported and loved.
Let's talk about people spiraling and crashing out. I mean, I feel like your mind, if you come up with a scenario, your brain is so powerful that you can imagine that it's real. You believe that it's real. So when you're listening and getting these messages, how do you sort them out from what's could be fact versus what could be fiction?
When a normal everyday person is starting to open and getting these messages, well, I say start slow and start by testing it and creating signs with your team of light. It's like building that relationship. And then when you get signs, then you can start to trust it. What I used to do is if I was waiting on a grocery line, I would train myself and exercise my abilities, because you're not supposed to ever really read for people without their permission, right? But I would think, okay, what am I picking up about this person's energy field? And I would get all my downloads, and then I'd strike up a conversation with them. And I would, in the conversation, ask questions that I already felt I had gotten the answer to. And I would be like, okay, I was accurate with all of that. It's just how I kind of would train and exercise myself. So if people want to try that, you can. When you're waiting in line next time, there you go. Plus, it's always nice to meet people and talk.
Yeah, it's so nice. It's been so great to talk to you. This half hour went by so fast. What's one last question? What's the biggest takeaway you felt after writing Guided?
Well, I felt really guided to write it to begin with, because it wasn't necessarily about people who had readings with me. It was about people I was guided to and were guided to me to share their stories. So I think that anybody who finds this book has been guided to it. And what's really interesting is people will write to me and they'll say, as I was reading, I decided to establish a sign. I asked for the sign, and then 2 chapters later, there it was. So people are having these really extraordinary experiences while they read. And I think it just opens them up, because by getting the book and reading it, you're declaring to your team of light, like, okay, I'm open, I'm in, show me, guide me. Yeah.
It's so amazing. Laura Lynne Jackson, so great to meet you and talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's so beautiful being in conversation with you.
Likewise. All right, get the book Guided. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.